And welcome to another edition of the Pekin First podcast. This is episode 15. It's called It's Not Everyone. My name is Josh, and I get the pleasure of serving as the online ministries director for Pekin First.
And my name is Sean, and I am the pastor here at Pekin First.
All right, and we are going to start with this week's personal best, and I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't thought about this, not one bit, not at all.
All right, let me go, and then you think about it while I'm going.
Perfect.
My personal best has not yet happened, so how about that? It's been a week. It's been a week. It's been a week of weeks, and lots of meetings and lots of stuff, and, you know, stuff that I probably wouldn't say is my personal best. I mean, I understand that, you know, what we do throughout the week we have to do, and sometimes it's very meaningful and sometimes it's not so meaningful. But this week on Saturday, so Sandra is involved in this play, you know, so she's gone every evening. I've been having meetings every night this week, just been busy. So Saturday we said, we're going to get up early, and we're going to go to Bloomington, and we're just going to hang out, spend some time together, and I know it's going to be a great day. So that's going to be my personal best this week. It's just spending time with my wife for a few hours on a Saturday.
Nice. Good. I am going to say that my personal best this week was, you know what? I found some new software. This is kind of a business personal best, if you will. I found some new software that is a 3D scanning software where I can walk into a room with my phone. It uses AI, and it actually scans the entire room and builds the walls and measures windows and does all the things that it usually takes me hours to do. I can do in minutes.
Wow.
So, taking a little bit of stress off of me. So found that gift or that blessing in my personal or my business world. And so that will be my personal best.
I like that. I wonder if AI is ever going to be able to create something where you and I don't actually have to be here for the podcast. They'll just like create something that will create a podcast and we don't even have to do anything.
I don't know that I
don't know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be any fun, would it?
I think at some point AI takes the fun out of it, right?
And everything else out of it.
Right?
I mean, we don't even need people anymore.
I don't even need to walk in with a tape measure anymore, right?
It's awful. Awful.
All right, this one's called It's Not Everyone. So this week I was actually faced with some tough choices, and I'm learning hard lessons on a project that I'm doing. This project should be second nature to me. I've been doing what I'm doing for 15 years, which is flipping houses and renovating houses and selling houses and renting houses. That's just what I do. And so this should be second nature to me. And as my week was starting to fall apart and I was putting the next phase of this project together, it became increasingly obvious that the people that I thought I could count on, I couldn't. Yeah. I'm standing in the middle of this project, and I was just overwhelmed with the feeling that the whole world had walked out on me at a time that I had risked it all. I risked a lot on this. And as I was pondering how I was going to take my next steps, and the phrase came to mind, I will never leave you nor forsake you. This phrase is used in both the Old Testament and the New Testament several times. God is always with us, no matter the situation. Work through today, and he will handle tomorrow. And as our choir director, Scott, said, that just left an imprint on me is, give us our daily bread. So as I'm in the middle of this project, let me put a little context behind this, because that may be a little dramatic, if you will, but it truly felt like I'm in the middle of one of the largest projects I've ever been involved in, and it's mine, like it's personally mine. And I was supposed to have 3 or 4 people show up and these are people that are not helping. They're not volunteering their time. They're getting paid. They're contractors. And they just disappeared on me. And it felt like, okay, now I've got to do this all myself.
Right.
And the truth is, I don't have to do it all myself. God is always there and will provide a way to get it done.
Yeah. The thing that comes to my mind, Josh, when I hear that story is the night that Jesus was arrested. You know, he's out in the garden with his friends, with his guys, And everything seems to be going okay. He's warned them. He's told them this is coming. This is going to happen. But as soon as he's arrested, they all flee. Everyone's gone, and he's just kind of left there. And yet he knows, just as you've said, that his Father will not leave him or forsake him. That God is with him, and God will go with him to the cross, and God will go with him to the grave, and then God will bring him up out of that grave, and he goes into it and faces it with that confidence and that trust. And man, if we could all have that in those situations in life where we feel like we're been abandoned or when we're all alone, I think it could make a huge difference. Now, that doesn't diminish the pain, the anger, the frustration that goes along with those abandonments, for sure. Jesus is Jesus, and we're not. But I do think he gives us an example there to rely on God when nobody else seems to follow through.
Well, and as you were saying that, I was thinking, just that's the ultimate trust is I'm going to allow these people, and one of the 7 words that we have coming up is forgive them, they not know what they do. Mm-hmm. And that's the ultimate trust, that this is what I've been told, and I'm going to trust God that this is going to happen coming from Jesus. Yeah. And it's that is the ultimate trust for sure. Mm-hmm. There was another incident that I had that as I was coming up with all this, and as I was rehashing my week, and the 2020 Marigold Festival. So obviously 2020 was a dumpster fire, right? And we had the Marigold Festival canceled all events except for the one I was in charge of, which was the food and all that stuff. And then out of the graciousness of the church's heart, they allowed us to use the parking lot to set up vendors, and we did a drive-through. And the response was massive. We had lines for hours. So we kind of did a circle, and it's hard to envision because we've redone the parking lot since then. So there used to be curbs that ran down the middle, and we literally had people driving in circles. And then I had people walking in circles, grabbing the food from all the vendors, putting the orders together, and then meeting the cars where right here at the entrance of the church. And there were probably no less than 100 people walking this lot at one time. Wow. And there were probably no less than 300 cars waiting in each direction. The total 300 cars, but they were going each direction. Right. And I'm standing in the middle of this thing because it's a train wreck. Mm-hmm. It's a train where we had no idea. Mm-hmm. We had no idea.
Reminds me of like a Chick-fil-A drive-through.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah. And it was the people there were everybody was very gracious. Nobody was mad. Nobody was upset because it was the whole year was a dumpster fire. So I'm standing in the middle of the church parking lot and thinking, what am I going to do? This is going sideways quick. And we had some great leaders. Amy McCoy and her family were here, and they were trying to straighten it out. And we had church leaders here trying to straighten it out. And I just remember calling my wife and saying, I need help. And the answer wasn't, what do you need? The answer wasn't, are you sure? The answer was, I'll be right there. Mm-hmm. So God puts these people in your life to be there when nobody else seems to be.
Right. But we got to be willing to say help, right?
That's right.
Because sometimes we just keep it all in and we think, man, God, why don't you just do something here and help me out? And God's saying, I'm trying. If you'll just open your mouth and say the word help, there are people that will come running if you do.
I was in the barbershop the other day, and as I'd already written all this out, and I updated some notes as we went along, but I'm sitting in the barbershop, and the barbershop is just packed. And there's this lady that walks in, and she walks in with 2 little kids. One who had you could tell had a sensory issue, or I guess it's not an issue, a sensory whatever. She got headphones on, and you could definitely tell she was signing to him. And you could see in this mom's eyes, she was very strong for her children. She managed them very well. They weren't misbehaved. They weren't any of that stuff. But you could just see in her eyes, she was mommed out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She was just mommed out.
Yeah.
And the barber who was going to cut one of the other the non-sensory boys' hair was waiting on other people and looked at her and said, "When do you want his haircut?" Meaning the boy with the sensory issues. And she said, "Whenever you can." And he said, "We'll wait till after the shop closes," in which it was getting ready to close, and I'll just do it. And that way nobody's around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's easier on that child.
Wow.
And just that graciousness when you feel you're alone, and I don't know, what her particular situation was. I don't know. But it seemed like she could have used a break and used just some good news, and she got it.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been kind of talking about that a little bit in our prayer series too, about how sometimes we are the answers to our own prayers, and oftentimes we're the answer to other people's prayers too. God hears those prayers, and He puts people to use and puts them in action right away. So, we just need. Sometimes it just feels like we're all alone in this thing, and maybe there's someone listening today who says, "I'm just all alone in this, and there's nobody around." Let me just tell you, if you can hold out with just a tiny amount of faith, that mustard seed idea, just a little tiny amount of faith to trust that God is with you, and that God hears you, and that God is going to put some people in your path. But we do have to do some things. We do have to reach out. We do have to be willing to humble ourselves in such a way that says, I can't do this anymore. I can't take it anymore. The addiction recovery community has it right. The very first step is to acknowledge that we're powerless and we can't control our tendency to do the wrong thing. We can't manage it anymore. We've got to give up and say help. And I think it's a hard thing to do, but it is the very best thing that we can do sometimes.
And sometimes, kids who need help, who I have 5 daughters that I consider my own.
Help.
Yeah. And sometimes, yeah. But and sometimes, they can be overwhelmed. And Zena has created an environment with the girls that are hers and not biologically hers, where they can go to her and say, "I need help." Mm-hmm. My daughters have done it. Her daughters have come to me and said, "I need help." It is creating that environment and knowing that somebody's there and being patient. So part of this is, I need help, but you got to be patient. Yeah. Because if you may need it right now, but maybe God's not done yet.
Good.
And He's going to, He's never done, number one, but He's going to create that path for you. You just have to be patient. Yeah. And part of that, I am not a patient person at all.
See, that's that Psalm 40, verses 1 and 2. I waited patiently for the Lord, and He answered me, and He pulled me up out of the slimy pit, out of the muck and mire, and set my feet on a solid rock. We wait patiently, and God hears us. So good words. Yeah,
absolutely. So I did this one because of, I did see that mother in the barbershop, and this is for the struggling mothers and the struggling fathers that are single and not single. And this is for the person that feels like their friends have walked out on them, or they don't have a huge friend group. I never had a huge friend group. Some of my daughters have huge friend groups. Some of them don't. They're just, it's all in how you are, how close you are with your friends. Mm-hmm. This is for the person that feels alone in this big world. Know that you're not. God puts so many people in our path that care and love you. And so just look around and listen to God's words, and the people will appear. Yeah. The truth is that these people have always been there. Yep. God is just waiting to bring them into your life a little closer.
That's right.
And we have a ton going on around here. So if you are in that spot, if you are feeling lonely and you just need to be around good people, we have tons of opportunity here at Pekin First.
Yep.
We have Lent coming up, of course. That starts Wednesday. If you notice, I have a coffee, right? And so for Lent, I'm giving up all sweets.
Wow.
So that includes, and I was telling my daughter works at the coffee shop, and I'm like, I gotta have it while I can.
Yeah.
And she's like, why? And I'm like, because I'm giving up sweets. And she's like, oh. She's like, you have sugar free. I'm like, that's kind of cheating.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a good thing. Lent gives us opportunity to fast. I mean, that's you hear Josh talking about giving up something. You're like, why is he going to do that? Well, typically during the season of Lent, which is a 6-week period season that we celebrate in the church that leads up to Easter, a lot of times people take on a new spiritual discipline. A lot of times it's fasting and extra prayer or serving in some way. But fasting is always a great way for us to remind ourselves of a little tiny bit of the suffering that Jesus went through. If you get hungry and that stomach is growling, or you're just longing for that sweet, or whatever it is that you give up, we tell people now today, in these days, even giving up something like social media or giving up, your cell phone or your internet use for a while. I mean, that could be more painful than giving up food sometimes for people. So, but what we do is we fill that time, though, too. If we're going to give up watching TV 3 nights a week, you fill that time with Bible reading or prayer, or you come and attend a group here at the church or something along those lines. So you try to fill that gap with something that's meaningful and helpful to you as well. Yeah, it's going to be a great season. I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. That's this is my last weekend. So in between the 8 a.m. service and the 10 a.m. service, we have a social gathering down, if you will, in the cafeteria, and there's always so many good foods there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. There's bananas there too. There's bananas and apples and stuff like that.
But you might want to just steer clear of that area for a few weeks. Yeah.
Because there is donuts, and there was to-do donuts, and Janet's making this. I don't know what it is. It's a cake of some sort with some drizzle frosting on it.
It's definitely sweet.
Yeah. And so during the season of Lent, we have so let's start at the beginning. We have this weekend, we have our prayer series coming to an end.
Yeah, we'll be out in our last sermon on prayer this weekend. It's really going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to this one because a lot of what we've been talking about on the podcast the last few weeks is going to come into play with this. It's just, the noise of the world around us. It's a very noisy world that we live in. And if we're really going to get anything out of prayer, we've got to find a way to be quiet and to listen to the voice of God. So we're going to talk about what that means, how to listen in prayer. And then we're going to get ready for Lent, which starts next Wednesday. And we have a 6:30 Ash Wednesday service here at the church. All are welcome to that. Children as well. At 6 o'clock, we're going to talk to the kids about Ash Wednesday and kind of explain to them what it's all about, so that when they come into worship with their parents at 6:30 and they receive the ashes on their forehead or on their hands, they'll understand the significance of that symbol and why we're doing what we're doing.
And that is a combined service with Pekin First and Grace United. So the choir will be bigger, the congregation will be bigger. So if you've never been to an Ash Wednesday service, this is going to be an easy service for you to experience, and kind of just slip in and slip out if you wish.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just see the goings on of Ash Wednesday. I have been a member of this church for quite some time, and my first Ash Wednesday service was probably 5-6 years ago. So it's an interesting experience. Just I wouldn't miss one now. So we have Ash Wednesday. And then we have the first weekend of Lent. We are going to start a new sermon series. And this is kind of honestly, it's a church-wide undertaking, if you will. And this is the 7 last words of Jesus, right?
Yeah. It's based on a book by Susan Robb, who is an ordained minister in the United Methodist Church, called 7 Words, Listening to Christ from the Cross. And we're going to look at some of those phrases that Jesus uttered in his last words before he died. And not only what did they mean for him at that time, but what do they mean for us today as well. And we're going to preach on that on the weekends, and then we're going to do studies throughout the week. 3 different studies are being offered: a Sunday morning 9 a.m., a Tuesday morning 9 a.m., and then a Wednesday night 6 p.m. You can get involved in any of those, and we'll be walking through the leader guide and the study guide for that book during those studies.
And those studies are open to everybody,
Yeah.
so you do not have to be a member. If you want to get more into just learning about what happened on the cross and what Jesus said on the cross and why he was there, pop in. The website shows all the times, and we'll be posting those also on social media. We also have Lenten lunches. I'm very interested in this. We have special guests coming every week Wednesday, starting the week after Ash Wednesday. So it'll start, I think that's the 13th.
15th.
Is it the 15th? Okay.
Yeah.
So the 15th at what, 11?
12 o'clock we'll start. You can come in earlier than that if you want to, but at 12 we'll start feeding. It's a free lunch. We're going to do donations only. We want to bring the church community together here in Pekin. Also, anybody who maybe you work and you have a lunch hour and you'd like to come and be a part of it, it's going to be great because there's going to be a wonderful meal, and then there's going to be a speaker, as you said. One of our local clergy persons here in the Pekin area will come and share a 10, 15-minute message with us and a time of prayer. So it's just a way for us to, in the middle of the week during Lent, to remind ourselves that we are journeying with Jesus to the cross during this season, and we don't have to go from Sunday to Sunday. We can do something in the middle of the week that will remind us of our commitments and what we're doing during this season.
And those will be on the website. Right now, I have all the dates blocked out, so you can put a calendar reminder in and stuff like that. But I will list who is going to be our special guest now that we have all that firmed out. You've done an excellent job in reaching out to the community and bringing special people in, some good ones in there. So make time for that. And just all kinds of stuff. We have Palm Sunday. We have an Easter egg hunt coming up.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. So look on our website at pekinfirst.org and just check out all the events going on during the Easter/Lent season.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Culminating in Easter Sunday on April the 20th, Easter Saturday here at Pekin First as well. We do have Saturday evening services. So if you're looking for a Saturday night service, come join us during the season of Lent. If you want to wait till Easter Sunday and come experience that, it's 5 o'clock on Saturday night, and then 8 o'clock on Sunday morning and 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. We have 3 services where you can pop in. You can watch us online at the 10 a.m. service if you'd like to do that. That's our contemporary service. And then our children have children's church at the Saturday night service and at the 10 a.m. Sunday service. So if you have little ones and you want to bring them, they have a special time of worship for them as well.
Absolutely. And the Ash Wednesday service will be online as well. That'll be a special service we'll set up, and you can put that in your calendar to remind you, and we'll send out something via the Pekin First app. I encourage you to download the Pekin First app. You can find it on Google Play or the Apple App Store. You can also listen to this podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and Spotify and YouTube. So it has been a pleasure being with you this week. And remember, God put us here to do great things. So let's go do great things.